Alright, what's up going on everybody? This is Z33 here back with a brand new video. Today we're going to be looking at the Sweet 16, the last 16 teams. This in itself is a pretty cool accomplishment for a lot of teams to get. So even if you don't end up winning the championship, it's still pretty cool to make it this far. We were given some pretty cool games. Now I originally had planned to break these apart by day, doing Sweet 16 day 1, Sweet 16 day 2, but as I've done multiple times, I kind of just forgot to record at the end of the night and then have it scheduled for the morning to upload, and then I would just get busy in the day or get bored or whatever, or get lazy, etc., etc. So instead, I'm just going to do both days, so all 8 games in one video. And yeah, same thing as today. I actually had work again this morning. I was gonna do it last night but forgot, so it would have opened or come live earlier. It's right now it's 5:30, 5:40, and we already got some Elite 8 games going on, as you can see. But let's go ahead and get into these Sweet 16 games themselves. Now, we were treated, as I said earlier, to a lot of good games, except for a couple outlying games that you can see before you. First up was Michigan State versus Kansas State. Now, this game went into overtime. This was a back and forth game. Both teams were playing lights out. Both teams were shooting very, very well from 3, especially late. Let's go ahead and go into the stats here, because we've got some pretty cool things to highlight about this game specifically. 3-pointers. Michigan State was 13 for 25, that's 50%, and Kansas State was 11 of 24. Now, Michigan State was one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the whole NCAA tournament. Definitely the best one left, besides arguably Creighton. And that's their bread and butter, is shooting the 3. And they went 18 of 22 from free throws, which is 81%. Pretty good. And they out-rebounded them. However, they only got 2 steals, and they had 13 turnovers against Kansas State's 5. They only had 5 turnovers, which was actually one of Kansas State worries, but they had to limit the turnovers, and they did so. So they did what they needed to win the game. This game was crazy. It was down to the wire. At 1 minute, you thought one team was pulling ahead, and then boom, they came back. And it was back and forth the final 5-9 minutes. And then in overtime, it was all Wildcats. And let's highlight one person in particular, which is Mr. Number 1, Noel. Noel is their point guard. Now, he did something really crazy. He had 20 points, including 19 assists. Now, this 19 assists is now the new NCAA all-time record, previously held at 18 by someone like the 80s or 70s, and he beat that record. Now, the cool thing about this record is the way in which he beat it. For his 19th assist, he brings the ball up the court, is at about the logo, at the end of the logo, and he's looking at his coach. He's arguing with him about a play. So that's a trick play, and it's distraction. And he gets, I think it's Johnson, number 11, and he wheels around and goes up for alley-oop, and the guy does almost like a no-look pass alley-oop across the court, and he slam dunks it. That was how he broke the assist record. Coolest way to break the assist record ever. As I said earlier, number 11 himself actually was the player who was at Florida for 3 years before having some sort of chest-heart issue, and then transferred to Kansas State, and he's now one of their top scorers. So it's a pretty cool thing for him to be coming back after such a scary injury that could have sidelined him for the rest of his career, now playing in the Elite 8 and trying to get to a championship on a really good Kansas State team. Now, this is something I did not know, but Kansas, and I probably will visit again if Kansas State continues to win. They were ranked last in the Big 12 this year. They were ranked, I think, 10 or 11th in the Big 12. And they played extremely well. They beat Kansas. They beat a lot of good teams. They didn't win the Big 12. Texas did, but they are in the Elite 8. What a season for them. Their coach, Jerome Tang, has done an excellent job. Look at this 3-point shooting. 4 of 9, 4 out of 5, and 4 out of 7. This is pretty impressive 3-point shooting, but it just was not enough for the Spartans. They just got outdueled by the guard play of Kansas State. But a fantastic game. Both really great teams who both should be proud of what they've done this season. 8 seed Arkansas versus 4 seed UConn. Now, this was one thing I was worried about Arkansas is they had their really high highs where they upset Kansas to defend the national champion, and then their lows, as we've seen this year. They were projected in the top 10 in the beginning of the year, but they were definitely not a top 10 team for most of the year. However, it did turn on in the beginning of the tournament, but as we can see here, that just was too much too late. They had an off game, and the Huskies made them pay for it. 31% from the field, which is not too bad, but they did miss 7 free throws. They were out-rebounded heavily, except for they did have 16 offensive. This is what kept them in the game for a little bit, was their ability to offensive rebound, but only had 7 assists. They did force 10 turnovers. I mean, they were decently well. They just could not make any shots, and they were just allowing UConn to do whatever they wanted. Honestly, I will say this is a great season for Arkansas. Obviously, not the best finish, but a great season from Arkansas. You know, maybe it's a disappointment because they were projected in the top 10, but they were very, very young. So people thought, oh, they maybe projected in the top 10. However, they are so young and so inexperienced, they're not going to play too well, and they didn't. However, this is a star-studded team. A lot of these dudes could probably go into the NBA. Essentially, their entire starting five really probably go into the NBA. But I think if they stick it out and they stay, and they continue to develop, continue to get better and better, and build more trust and more charisma, and continue to get experience, this could be a deadly team that could win a championship and could have a dynasty for the next 2-3 years. And realistically, I really think that they should all stay and see what they could do with this team. There's a lot of untapped potential for this Arkansas team. Sagonu, or whatever, the big man for UConn, he had a tremendous game. He was 9-11 field goal range, was dominant in the paint, had 18 points. This guy Hawkins had a great game as well. He was lighting them up towards the end of the game. And yeah, just an unfortunate end of the season to Arkansas, but I feel like it was coming sooner or later. Like, they would get caught, and their magical run would end in disaster, and it did. But a great season to Arkansas. Number 9 seed FAU beating Tennessee. Now, this game was also down to the wire. FAU pulling out late. Now, as we all know, I am a Duke fan, and Tennessee beat Duke in the prior round. And I was not too happy about that game. I feel like Tennessee played very dirty and got away with a lot of crap that changed the outcome of the game, realistically. But FAU goes ahead and pulls it out. Really good three-point shooting team. Again, only lost a couple games this year. They did not shoot very well. Their team really did. However, look at Tennessee's free throws, 7-12. That is horrible. That is under 60%. You can't win games and shoot under 60% free throws. This is probably a pretty good one. 28 defensive rebounds. That's a big difference. 12 turnovers against Tennessee's 6. So they did a good job of not turning the ball over. However, FAU they just won at the end of the game. They pulled it out late. They hit big shots late, and they're moving on. Funny thing about FAU that I also learned is that FAU has not won a tournament game until this year. So all their wins were in the same year. So they are undefeated in the tournament so far. It's a great run by FAU. Let's see how far they can take it. Then Gonzaga and UCLA. Now, this game was back and forth. UCLA was up by as much as 12-14, and then Gonzaga came back, and then Gonzaga hit a big lead, and the game was over. They were up by like 10 with a couple minutes left, and all of a sudden UCLA goes on a 10-1 run in 45 seconds. So under a minute, they changed outcome of the game almost, and all of a sudden UCLA is up. I mean, neither team really shot that great from 3-point. I mean, around 40% is not too bad. Gonzaga had a horrible time at the free throw lane. They were missing free throws late, which allowed UCLA to come back. Look at this rebound disparity. Holy crap, I didn't even notice this. 50-26. They had 16 offensive rebounds. That is unbelievable. That's impressive. They did have 16 turnovers, and UCLA only had 6. Wow. But so, as I said, Gonzaga has the game won, and then all of a sudden, UCLA is up, and they take the lead with a couple of seconds left. Like, oh crap, UCLA is going to come back and win this game. Crap. because I am not a big fan of California teams, especially from LA. It is my least favorite city in the world besides New York City. You probably know why. Anyways, and then Gonzaga runs the same exact play as they did for I forget his name from same exact play that Villanova ran. Excuse me, not Gonzaga. Same exact play that Villanova ran to win the championship in 2016 versus North Carolina. Same play. This guy Strother hits a big shot, and they're up now. Up with a 3, they're up by 1. He had a great game, 16 points, 3 out of 8. Drew Timme had 36 points. Now, he had a very bad free throw night. He missed 3 of which were in crunch time, so he needs to shoot better in free throw range if they're going to win championships. But he was crazy down low. I mean, they were giving him one-on-one opportunities, and he was making them pay for it. He was just dominating them. Let's go ahead and look at their stars. Amari Bailey had a great game. He was 2-2 from 3. 19 points. He's probably going to go to the NBA, but if he stayed, he could be the man on campus and could be a big-time player for UCLA, but he probably will go to the NBA, I would guess. Jaquez Jr. had 29 points. He played very, very well as well. Really good game. Both teams deserve the win, but at the end, Gonzaga miraculously pulls it out after almost losing the game. San Diego State, ladies and gentlemen, upset the number 1 overall seed Alabama. Now, funny enough, San Diego State was a team that a lot of people thought that were in upset alert because while they were one of the best defensive teams in the nation, they struggle on offense. But they had proven that defense wins championships, or at least gets them within championship reach. And they have, in all the games that they've won, they have pretty much gotten teams way lower than what they normally score, and they have won. They have won a tough knock them down battle with their defense, and they have proven that defense is what is important in March. Now, Alabama, however, was only 3 of 27 from 3-point range. When they were playing against Texas A&M Corpus Christi in the beginning, they were like 60% from threes. This game, they got caught off on a bad shooting night, and they paid for it, especially with all the threes they had to chunk up late. San Diego State, though, missed a lot of free throws. They were right under 60%, which is not good. They got out-rebounded. Turnovers were pretty much the same, but just they couldn't. Alabama just at the end, they just coughed up a bad one. They just weren't hitting anything, and San Diego State made them pay for it. It was a very sad end for Alabama that were the number 1 overall seed. Brandon Miller only had 9 points, was 1 of 10 for 3-point range. So although he wasn't in the runnings for Player of the Year, he definitely won't win it now, even though it's a regular season game. Sears was 0 of 5. Clowney was 0 of 3, and they were shooting horrible from 3-point range. Horrible shooting night, and they paid for it. It's a very sad end from Alabama that probably stings a little bit. They probably want that one back of, well, if we were shooting good, we probably would have beat the crap out of San Diego State, and that is true. If they would have shot around 30 to 40 clip, they probably would have dominated San Diego State. But, as again, San Diego State is a great defensive team, and this is what they do. They make you have off shooting night. They make it really hard to score, and then you just gotta be a dog, honestly, against San Diego State. And Alabamans were not dogs that game. And then number 5 seed takes out number 1 Houston. Now, number 1 Houston is a great team. Only lost a couple games a year. However, they are in a weaker conference, and a lot of people feel as though that Houston is always overseeded. However, they always perform very, very well in March Madness. With that being said, though, I don't think they are championship caliber because they do not have enough competition in the regular season to prepare them for March Madness, and they won't be able to get over that hump. And with Alabama and Houston losing, this will be the first time in a long time that we will not have a 1 seed in the Final Four. In fact, I think this is the first time a 1 seed hasn't won a championship since Villanova upset the 1 seed UNC with that game-winning 3-point shot. Let's go ahead and look because I want to check how they did. Only 30% from 3-point range. That's not very good. Miami was 11 of 25. That's very impressive. Very low turnovers. These are very, very good teams. Very good guard play. Shed had 15 points. Sasser had 14. 16-14. I mean, that's impressive. But then let's go ahead and look at Miami and their key players. Wong had 20. Pack had 26. Look at this, guys. He was 7 of 10 for 3-point range. That is very impressive. That guy had a big game, and he probably was the main factor. He was red hot. So great win by Miami, who, as we know, lost to Duke in the ACC championship. However, they are the last ACC team left, and they are a very, very good team. 15 seed Princeton and 6 seed Creighton. Now, Princeton, as we all know, beat Arizona in the first round. They were the Cinderella team that were still alive. However, that comes at an end to Creighton. Now, as we all know, Princeton, the way in which Princeton wins is they keep the game low. They make you take a slow pace, they make you score around only 50 to 60 points, and then they beat you, because that's the game they want. Now, that did not happen in this game. Creighton was able to do whatever they want, play at a faster pace, put up shots, and